What up, everyone? Pat Mayo here, welcoming you to Mayo Media Network. And if you haven't realized yet, this is the Real World Road Rules Challenge Duel Rewatch in 3 parts. Now, this is before it was just the challenge. This is now we were calling it the Real World Road Rules Challenge. Although at the duel we'd evolved past the point of Real World versus Road Rules. That's just what it was called that time. There's a 3-part series: intro episodes, middle episodes, and final episodes, plus reunion from the crew at the Challenge Chronicles podcast. They've done this for a lot of very old seasons. They're still continuing to put everything out, but we're going to re-air their podcast of the duel up on Mayo Media Network right now for you. If you want to subscribe to the Challenge Chronicles podcast, hit the description or just put in Challenge Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you download your podcast. And Devin, Trace, and Rob will be providing the new season recaps of the challenge every single week on their podcast feed and up on the Mayo Media Network YouTube channel. So I'd recommend, once again, please subscribe, hit the like button, and enjoy the duel.
Welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. We're back. Glad to be here. We're here to cover the duel. It finally happened. We finally made it to one of the first iconic seasons of the show. Today we will talk about the first 4 episodes of the duel. If you'd like to listen to some of our previous episodes, we just did a fantasy draft on the upcoming season of the challenge, where we each choose the contestants that will be on the upcoming season. Before that, we also released 3 episodes on the first season of Fresh Meat. If you'd like to reach out to us with listener emails, you can reach out to us at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com. And with that, let's talk about the first episodes of the duel, which we will talk about on this podcast episode. What did you guys think?
Honestly, the cast is amazing. Like, this cast is awesome. The first 4 episodes, there's some cool things that happen, but they're not blowing me away yet. This season definitely gets better as it goes.
Yeah. For most of these seasons, honestly, they've actually started better than they've ended. A lot of them had relatively disappointing endings. The Duel is the first season where I think the ending is like significantly better than the first few episodes.
I was honestly surprised with how much I actually enjoyed the first 4 episodes. I went in really without any type of expectations. When we did our Seasons of Rankings podcast, the duel was number 1 by fans, correct?
Oh, yeah, number 1 by a lot. And then it was number 1 for me. And then Trace, it was somewhere in your top 6, much too low, obviously.
It was like mine. Of course, I'm always the contrarian opinion. It was in my top 6. Number 1 for me was Rivals.
Devin's season rankings were pretty off the rails, too. But even like when I went on Pat's show, he had the duel as number 2 in his season rankings. So
did I have
a great season?
He was pretty happy to get that email from me with a link to the whole season. I remember getting that email of, thank God I finally have this season.
Yeah. Hopefully the authorities not listening in on this part of the podcast.
I didn't sell it. I just gave it away.
And I guess we should. I wanted to definitely make a point to do this, because I feel like we get so many emails from people, or we get multiple emails from people asking where they can watch each of the seasons of the show. And I think I responded one to one this morning, but just to say it, I think you can watch some of the episodes to this season on Dailymotion. I know that I Googled that a little bit earlier today, and I did see some, not all of them, but you can watch some of the episodes on Dailymotion, or you can buy them on iTunes. Or on that Pluto TV channel, didn't one of you say that you actually saw it go back to the duel at one point?
I
saw the duel 2. I did not see the duel. Well, actually, I didn't even see the duel 2. Somebody else mentioned the duel 2.
I saw the original duel pop up on Pluto TV once.
Wow.
Does that channel still exist?
It still exists. It plays the challenge 24/7.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So pro tip actually for all the people trying to find seasons. If the challenge producer is very unhappy with me, but they probably don't like me anyways. If you can go and get a 24-hour viewing pass and put in any combination of letters you want at gmail.com, and you can just keep putting in different combinations of letters, and you can keep getting passes.
For what is this, Rob? Say it again.
On MTV.com.
Yeah, if you use, I think it's MTV Canada's site, and if you use a VPN, if you use a VPN and you set up a fake email address, you can get a 7-day pass, and you can pretty much watch what you need to on MTV.com for a week. So it is possible.
It cost past the 7 days?
Yep. And then
how much does it cost, Trace?
I don't even remember.
Offer it. I don't think they offer it.
So it's only if you have a cable provider then?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
That's a joke.
There's also another way to get it. If you are, any of you torrenters, if you happen to hang around the Pirate Bay, you can find the entire season of The Duel on there.
We're about to get a cease and desist on this episode.
I'm just saying, this is the first season that if you dig hard enough, you can find it.
We're just letting people know that these options are available to them. Not that we.
I am not endorsing it. Yeah, I am not endorsing it. I acquired the Duel through nefarious means about a decade ago, so the statute of limitations is way up on how I got it.
How long do you think the statute of limitations are for online piracy?
That's a good question. We should probably.
I think just don't get caught.
Yeah, I really enjoyed these first 4 episodes. So I went into them with a pretty open mind and enjoyed them. And I honestly don't even remember what happens throughout the course of the rest of the season. Well, I have vague memories of them, but I don't have a detailed idea of what's about to happen. So I'm excited to see the rest once we get there.
Yeah, I think in terms of just storylines going on, usually I favor gameplay over dramatic storylines when it comes to watching TV shows, especially like The Challenge or other reality competition shows. But the storylines in this season, the amount of them that is going on is just absurd. There's just an insane level of depth of storylines going on this season.
And what's interesting, too, is if you were to rewind back to 2006 when this aired, apart from 4 people, you could argue this is an all-star season when it aired. I mean, other than Tyler, Johnny Bananas, who this is his first season and he does not have a good showing. You have Svetlana and Paula, but the rest of the season is either the fresh meat from the previous year or from heavy hitter seasons of The Real World and Road Rules.
Let's just talk about the cast right now.
Okay. On the male side, listen to this cast. It's absolutely insane. And we'll start from the top down. You've got Wes, you got Brad, you've got CT, you have Evan, you have Big Easy, you have Derek Kaczynski, you've got Nehemiah, who's the lone standout really so far there of one of these things is not like the other.
Big Easy.
Big Easy.
Nehemiah is a champion, Trace. Put some respect on
3 duds.
Oh,
gosh. You have 3 duds in there. Nehemiah, Tyler, and Big Easy.
Tyler's not a dud.
And Tyler's a 2-time challenge champion.
Tyler's not a dud.
At this point in time, he's a dud.
At this point in time, he's beyond.
Oh, yeah, but Johnny's a dud at this point in time.
I know. Johnny is not, at this point in time, is not then what he soon will be.
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
And you can hate on. I hate on Big Easy as much as the rest of a lot of people. I'll say sorry. The bourbon's kicking in. Big Easy though makes it to episode 11 in a 16 episode season, so he makes it far here.
Well,
Big Easy has his most impressive challenge moment I think ever in one of the episodes we're about to talk about today.
Yes, I would agree with that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, that's a lot of weight.
When he runs across the planks and the bridge challenge.
I mean, him in the Hall Brawl against Wes is definitely
Yeah, but he has 180 pounds on him.
Literally almost twice Wes's size.
I think that the one you're talking about might actually be more impressive, but that one's the notable Big Easy event. People come back to that.
I agree.
Even if in retrospect, it's not really that impressive.
People remember that elimination. They do not remember Big Easy running across a bridge.
Yeah, and it's sad too because there's one other Big Easy moment in that Battle of the Seasons 2, as we fans like to call it, where he is. It's the challenge where they have to hold the basket with the rocks.
Yeah, with the rocks.
My God, how long that dude hung on is so impressive. I might not like the way the guy performs in some instances. But when it comes to just pure strength challenges, that dude is a beast.
How much more does he weigh than like the guys on this cast?
I bet you. How tall do you think he is?
Well, we talked
6'3",
about this.
right?
He's 6'3".
He probably weighs close to 300.
In this season, definitely
much is
weighs
like
275 is what I would guess.
How much like CT and Evan weigh then? Do you think?
210 maybe.
Wait, CT. How tall is Evan?
Evan's like
Evan-
5'10", 5'11".
I think
No,
Evan's
he
like
doesn't
6
weigh 10
foot
then.
flat.
So he's my height. He probably weighs.
I don't know, man. Hunter
190.
Hunter right now. Hunter is like 5'6" and is like 185.
Yeah, and he's way bigger than Evan was.
Evan was pretty big, bro.
Evan was pretty jacked at this point in the challenge.
Dude.
This isn't what somebody called pregnant Evan at Rivals 1.
Yeah.
This is Evan at his peak, really, in terms of his body.
Yeah, we can. I was definitely actually gonna bring that up if this is Evan's best season, but like,
Which is weird because he wins the Duel 2, but this season is by far a better performance than Duel 2.
No, I wouldn't say that because maybe we can save that for later. But Landon is just so on another world in Duel 2.
I mean, yeah. Landon, yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about it.
He wins 3 eliminations on Duel 2 as well.
I get some pretty big scrubs though. It
But
doesn't make the
who does he
performance
beat?
bad. I personally am a big Evan fan, but beating Davis,
He beats Nehemiah and he beats MJ. No, it's not MJ.
it's Derek McRae, right?
Yeah, Derek McRae on that climbing
Yes.
elimination.
Guess what Big Easy's record is in eliminations? 9 appearances.
It's
Bad.
actually pretty decent. He's probably over.
Well, see, he lost to Katie. He loses to. Well, he beats Nehemiah on this season, and he loses to Brad. So he's already out 1-2.
He wins one in Battle of the Seasons. He
wins one in Cutthroat as well.
Yeah, he wins one in Cutthroat.
So he's probably like.
I would say he's
4, 3, and 5.
I would have
something
said
like that.
4 and 3.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's.
There's 9 total appearances.
9 total, really that many?
Okay, then I would go higher. He's probably 5 and 4.
I was gonna say 4 and 5.
Rob got it. Good job.
Yeah,
Chris.
there we go.
Good job.
There's no
Rob.
way he's positive in eliminations because he's been on 1 and 2 in a season, hasn't he?
But he's only been on like 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah. Certainly a very notable character, even if he doesn't compose himself in a way that a lot of people enjoy.
So we've talked about the male
He's
side.
definitely one of the mainstay characters at this point in the Challenger, at least from Fresh Meat through through
He
the
is the
Gauntlet.
mainstay from
Gauntlet
Fresh
3.
Meat until the Ruins. Like he's on like every season except
not on the
he's
Ruins.
not-
season 3.
Well, he's on Duel 2. He's on the Ruins.
He's on Fresh Meat. He's on
Dude,
Duel.
can you imagine if they saddled the Challengers team with Big Easy and the rest of those albatrosses? Like take out Brad, put in Big Easy instead.
He is he on the Duel too?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. He's on the Duel 2.
So he's pretty much a mainstay from Fresh Meat until Duel 2, and then when he comes back for Battle of the Seasons,
Well, no, he's in Cutthroat.
oh, he is in Cutthroat, isn't he?
So he only skipped a season he skipped 2 seasons because he's not in Fresh Meat 2 or the Ruins.
At that point, when he is in Battle of the Seasons 2, it seems like he hadn't been around the show for a while, and I don't know why.
I
I
think
mean, at that point, like Rivals, X's, and
it's only
Actually,
Rivals
it's only been
and
2
X's,
seasons.
but
Yeah,
that
it's
was
funny,
like.
actually, it's only been 2 seasons.
But the thing is Rivals and Battle of the X's, there was only 1 season of the challenge that year. There was Rivals, and then the next year there was Battle of the X's because the show was in huge danger of getting canceled
Yeah.
around
People-
1.
Yeah.
And the
People don't
ratings
remember
of Rivals
that.
1 were so good that it got them Battle of the Seasons and beyond. They already had X's, but there was a very real possibility that X's might not have aired.
There was
Yeah,
a decent
well,
amount of time where they were doing like 1 season a year or around 1 season a year. And for whatever reason, I don't know, when do you think it started to pick back up again? Around Bloodlines? Is that when they really started to crank them out?
I know the ratings were cratering around Bloodlines. The ratings for Rivals Tunes for Ages I thought were actually decent.
What was right after Bloodlines?
That was Rivals 3.
That's when it started to pick back up again then. like right around after Rivals 3. So
No, I don't think it's
right when
back
it
up until Dirty 30.
It got
I don't.
Dirty 30, but the show's renewal was not in doubt from Rivals 2 on.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I don't think the ratings picked right up though.
They knew when they would left for Rivals 2 that they were getting a season after Rivals 2, and so it seemed like they were getting 2 season renewals from that point forward. But yeah, no, it was for those of you that are listening, this was very precarious time when they got to Rivals, because if Rivals didn't do well, the challenge might not have existed after that season.
Well, Evan has an interview where he actually said he thought the show had been canceled after Rivals.
And that was kind of the show's last hurrah, because Rivals had less episodes than most of the episodes.
It only had
most of the seasons around that time
9.
period.
It was like 9 or 10. I think it was 10.
Rivals is a really small cast.
Mm-hmm. But a great cast.
Yeah.
A very good cast. I actually prefer this cast.
Transitioning back into the cast for the Duel.
Go back to the females here. So go from the top down here. You have Jody, who, God love Jody. You have Svetlana, her one and only appearance. You have the cockroach of the challenge, Anissa.
Oh, that's a little unnecessary.
No.
I was about to say, I think that's a good nickname. Nothing.
I said it in the
fantasy
thing, and I stand by it. It's not a mean thing. Anissa is the one member of the challenge you cannot get rid of no matter what happens to this show. She was on Battle of the Sexes 1, and she is on season 35. Okay? From season, 7 to 35. She still gets cast. She's
on the upcoming season, isn't she?
Yes, she's on the one
that's insane.
And I mean it. She's the cockroach of the challenge. I mean it affectionately. I admire the fact that she not only finds a way to get recast, but she also finds a way to hang around to the end of almost every season she's on.
So I think this is what it is. I think this is what it is. So guess how old she is, both.
I would say she's 39.
No, she's not that old. She's like... Actually, maybe she is kind of...
I think she's 39. If I was bet money... if she's not 39, either 37 or 38. There's no question she's at least 37.
37,
So she is actually younger than I thought she would be. And she is 38 years old.
How old do you think she was?
Rob, I thought she was in her 40s for sure.
No.
So for me, that just means that she was on the show when she was really young.
19.
But you also have to remember, there's that weird thing where it seems like there's like a huge gap in time between the first Battle of the Sexes and like, remember we did that, like the length of time between Battle of the Sexes until...
Gauntlet 2 is not that long.
It's like a couple years, right? I think we did that in a previous podcast, but that I think it speaks to both of those points. Yeah.
And so, I do. So for those of you listening, I am honestly not hating on Anissa. I call her the cockroach of the challenge as an affectionate term because she has found a way to stay relevant. I mean, hell, who else can get a storyline in Dirty 30 riding around in a carriage with another cast member and they actually care enough to show it? That's Anissa. She finds a way to stay relevant and still gets cast and somehow makes it either to the final or right before the final before she goes home.
She should pitch that idea to Netflix as kind of like a 13 episode season where she is
her in carriages. Is she her riding around in carriages in South America?
No, she's a superhero called the Cockroach.
The Cockroach. I mean, she could pull it off.
What's her superpower? Just hanging around?
I could make it on a reality show to the end. And honestly, I'm not. As a fan of the show, I will say that I respect that. I'm not a fan of her as a competitor, but I am kind of excited to see what she does in 35, and that's what matters.
I think she's fine. To watch. She obviously is doing something the producers really appreciate, so I feel like there might be stuff behind the scenes.
What should
much with her?
So since Survivor went all out for their season 40, what should the challenge do for their season 40?
I don't think they really have an equivalent to what the challenge.
No, not anymore. Because you can play Survivor till you're way older. Like the challenge, once you hit the mid 40s, I think you're about done.
Well, but how many people have really aged out of the challenge? Like Mark Long still seems like he could go back on the challenge.
And sadly, he can't now, which is so, like, I was praying that we would get one more Mark Long season. But now that he has a job that he can't be gone more than 2 weeks, that makes me sad.
If they asked him, he would do it in a heartbeat.
He would definitely do it.
He'd be there in 2 seconds.
He would be there. He could make more. He would make more on the challenge just cutting deals with 85% of the cast. Than he would
his appearance fee alone would probably the appearance fees that some of the cast members get now. Well, considering they pay Bear what they pay him, like Mark Long's worth at least half of that.
No, he's not.
How much did they pay Bear? $100K?
$100K for the first season he did.
No. I think it was more than that.
Which is unbelievable to me.
Like, I don't think Mark Long would make more than like Corey makes on a season now.
I think Mark Long's worth $50K.
That's what I was going to say too. $50K. $50K is nothing to them.
No, $50K
honestly, Mark Long at his job. Okay, I'm going to contradict myself now, which I do on a regular basis on this show. Mark Long could take a leave of absence for 60 days and make more in that 60 days than he probably does in
100%.
I mean, he would
almost
make
anybody would.
And the fact is politically, he's either going to make the final or get pretty damn close. So
he probably deals with half the cast.
So he would probably net before taxes $100K.
Honestly, I still stand by that being the main reason he's not brought back on the show. Is he's so public with cutting deals with all these cast members when he.
What does he do now? What's his job?
He's working in television production, and I want to say it's Miami. Like he's doing like hosting stuff, and he's also producing stuff.
So he's probably making like around like $100K per year anyway.
I would say he's at 250 in that industry.
Wow, way, dude. No.
Yeah, no. In that industry with what he's doing, I would say he's making 250.
I would have to know more specifically about what he does, but I'm going south of that on the over-under.
Fair enough. Hey, you know what? If you want to come on the show and talk about it, we are open invite, Mark Long. Please come on the show.
Who do you think?
If you can't tell I'm drinking, this show is like the epitome of Trace drinking while we're recording.
It's at some point in time, I feel like we're probably going to have like, it's going to be by accident too. It's not going to be like for any of us trying, but at some point in time, someone from the challenge will like be on this show. And like, I'm just laughing to myself right now, thinking about who it could potentially be. It's going to be someone like really, really random.
I mean, we came close. I can't reveal because it might still happen to the people listening, but there was one cast member that came really close and basically said at the last minute before I recorded with her solo, I can't do it.
For everyone listening, it was Coral.
No, it was not Coral. I will say though that she I already kind of revealed kind of part of that. Okay, she definitely was on the show pre-Gauntlet 2. That's all I'm gonna say. Everyone else on the phone already.
We still need to have
two inside baseball here. We got a lot of the show to cover still.
We still need to have Chadwick on the show. Is that the number one get?
He is honestly second.
No, Johnny Mosley is 100% the number one get.
Johnny Mosley would be the ultimate get, and if he would come on and just laugh with us about the fact that we make fun of him, that would make my life.
I would get him one of the shirts.
I would too. I would totally send him.
Well, we would have to get him one of the shirts so he doesn't file for copyright infringement. I'm sure he's got Johnny Mosley.
It's a generic. There's nothing he can copyright. Nothing.
Yeah. There is definitely a greater than 6%
on the show. We nicknamed him that.
Well, there's like an 8% chance he heard that through like the grapevine and then trademarked it immediately and is now going to be very litigious when we finally send him an email.
Oh my god!
What percentage? Like
8? That's high, man. I would have said like 1% that he's heard of the show.
How many people on the show do you think even know that like this podcast exists? I'm saying like 3.
I know of at least 4 cast members that know the show exists.
Well, I'm wrong.
I have no idea.
And one of them, I actually don't mind saying out loud. Morgan from one of the recent seasons know we exist.
Oh, Morgan. Who the hell is this? Morgan.
This is not.
Wait, Morgan. What's her last name?
Willett. She won Big Brother.
Morgan, Big Brother.
Blonchuk, but we're already way.
We're so off the rails,
we need to get moving.
We'll reel it back in. So
we want
back to the list.
The cast members. We've got Jody
Diem Brown,
Anissa Diem. You got Keena, the one that Rob and I adore. Robin, Beth, Casey, Paula, and Tina. Of that list, I would say Casey is and she's not a dud cast for entertainment.
I love Casey. She's very fun.
I actually think that every female on this cast is a solid B. Or
in terms of performance?
No, just in terms of like my entertainment value of watching them on television. They are all.
I think in terms of notoriety on the show, everybody's pretty solid here. There's nobody you're like who? Question mark.
Everyone here is a net positive. No one's taking away from the show.
Mm-mm.
I would even say that for the males as well, except for Nehemiah. Like I've never been.
I don't mind Nehemiah.
I don't even mind Nehemiah because of just the bizarre Beth relationship.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That
All right,
is
I take back what I just said.
Bizarre. Like there are some strange challenge hookups, and maybe they didn't officially hook up, but my God, that is a weird one for me.
We need to do a top 6 on that.
Oh, jeez.
Most bizarre challenge relationships.
Crazy show in itself.
Big Easy and Devin is on that list.
That might be 2, because Nehemiah and Beth are number 1 with a bullet.
That would not help our Q rating with one of the challenge cast members.
Probably not.
No, calling other hookup. So let's move on there.
All right.
Episode 1. We get to the intro of the show. Everyone's back. They get off the plane. We see CT. He's finally back on the show. Big Easy is wearing a mullet wig on the bus. Diem talks about how she's in remission from cancer. And at the time, I don't even remember what my reaction was to seeing her on the show, especially after you get the narrative from the previous season where her health in general was in overall uncertainty. So it's great to see her back now. Evan talks about how he had a hernia in the last challenge and what he went through. We learned that Wes and Johanna are still together. He says he wants to win this for her so they can start their life together on a good foot. Robin is back. She's a brunette now. And Paula is here. In my notes, that's what I have. Paula is here, ! And the first person that they show as the season start is Johnny Bananas.
I noticed that too.
The sun and the moon of the challenge has finally arrived. And we get to the house.
Sun and moon's a little strong.
Sorry, that cracks me. I'm a Bananas fan, but even that was a stretch for me.
We get to the house. Everyone. In typical challenge fashion, everyone. Go ahead. Just go. I'll let you go.
This is a crazy show so far. So I've always felt like Johnny, CT, and Wes collectively, Johnny is the face of the show, CT is the heart of the show, and Wes is the brains behind the show, is how I'd characterize those three.
I will not disagree with that at all. I think you nailed that description. If a season has those 3 people on it, it is immediately a good season from that perspective.
You can't do that bad if you have all 3 of those guys in place.
I really didn't like last season, the World of Worlds 2.
Dude, I love that season.
World of Worlds 2 was a great season.
Yeah, dude, that got me back into the show. I was honestly not a huge fan of the last few seasons, and that got me
World of the Worlds 1 was so much better than World of the Worlds 2.
World 1 got me back. World of the Worlds 2 reminded me why I love the show.
No, World of the Worlds 1.
So many great moments.
I honestly the last half of World of the Worlds 2 I thought was just so redundant.
Team USA this last season was incredible. Just from the amount of characters that they were able to get on the team, and then just
and they lost.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Team UK.
Yeah, no kidding.
That tells you how great the season was.
We can talk about that some other time.
Yeah, we need a separate show. We need a separate show to talk about that.
Everyone gets to the house in Brazil. This season is in Brazil. Everyone starts to run to the house and look for a room like they do in pretty much every season.
Hey, wait. Hold on. You missed one super important thing. We had the first cast member admit they used their money to buy boobs from the
She already did
previous
that.
season. Well, that was the season where she announced it. I mean, they announced it in the reunion of the previous season, but they made a big point to make sure that Casey pointed out she bought boobs with her prize money from the previous
When
season.
she calls her right boob Darrell and her left boob Wes.
It's just a classic moment, Devin. I'm sorry. I just had to point it out. It made me laugh.
One thing, too, I thought was really funny is CT in this beginning of this season is like sauntering in the house. He's with like Diem, I think Wes are sauntering in with him. And then
bananas.
Johnny, well, fast forward now to War of the Worlds 1, and he's doing the exact same thing with Turbo.
Mm-hmm.
And still gets the best room.
Yep.
It's funny. Yeah, so everyone runs into the house and scrambles to get a room while CT just casually walks in and somehow stumbles upon the best area in the house with the largest bed. Evan and CT seem to be getting along right off the bat. And we go to the duel arena. TJ comes out. He tells everyone that there will be no more teams this season. Everyone will compete by themselves, or everyone will compete alone from start to finish, which is kind of not true because they compete in pairs at certain points in the challenges. And each challenge will either be a male or female elimination day. And the duel is an elimination where one of the contestants that competes against one of the other contestants and someone will go home. And the person that wins the duel. All right, hold up. So let's go over the whole process of the mechanics of how the season works. So each day there will be a challenge. The winner of the challenge will be safe from elimination, and that will start the kind of selection process for who will be the person that's guaranteed to go into elimination for that day.
Yep. And let me tag up on that too before you go forward. So if it's a male elimination day, and it is a pairs challenge where like a male and a female are partners, the male is the one who starts the pick.
Correct. So whatever day it is for the specific sex, they're the first person who starts this selection process for who will go into the challenge or who will go into the duel / elimination. And what the selection process is for who will go into the duel is the person who won the challenge for that day will choose a female to be safe. And then that well, even though they're not really up for elimination, but that female will then choose a male to be safe, another male. And then that male will choose a female, and that female will choose a male all the way down until there is one, let's say that we're on a male elimination day, all the way down until there is one male left. That male that is left who has not been selected is guaranteed to go into the duel for that day. And they will then choose anyone beside the male who won the challenge for that day to go in to the duel to compete against them to decide who will go home and who will stay. Make sense? Okay.
All right. Before you go further, how badly do you want to see another duel season?
I think enough. There's the individual seasons they have now are close enough.
I just like the selection process, even though
I do enjoy the selection process.
The selection process here in Duel 2, because they had kind of gotten the hang of it and had seen what happened in this season, the selection process in Duel 2 stressed out the cast beyond belief trying to figure out the list. And I would actually love to see, with the current cast as dramatic and as many rivalries as there are, I think that a Duel 3 would be a great season for them to film in the near future.
I think what they would do is they would do something similar as far as the selection process, but at this point I don't think they would brand it as the duel. I think that's in the distant past enough that I don't think, like, what percentage of the people that watch the show now do you think have heard of the duel?
Maybe 15%.
Well, they've shown a few since Wes has been on seasons now. They'll have like a throwaway clip, so they at least know of its existence.
Do they mention that it's the duel, though? You know what I mean? I just think that, like,
other than a graphic that says the duel, no.
Like it'll be like a montage of Wes's like highlights. It'll be like, oh, he won the duel. He beat Derek in this elimination.
I could be off on this, but I think I'm probably right that the percentage of the people that watch the challenge now, and it's one of their first couple of seasons watching the show, is really high. Like right now, they have a ton of new viewers, and I think they definitely made the right decision in bringing people in from other reality TV shows to expand their reach. Is really what's kind of like elevated the show into what it is today. I think they've done an exceptional job with that.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they want to brand anything as a 3 now. I think that would, because like when they are trying to bring in new viewers, if you see a 3 next to something, War of the Worlds 2 is a little bit different because War of the Worlds 1 just happened. But if you see a 3, you'll be like, oh, what happened? Don't do 1 and do 2. Am I not?
Yeah, you feel
up? Like
you're.
They would probably rebrand it, but I would love to see the concept come back, even if it's not Duel 3. If they called it something else, I would still love to see this style of picking eliminations of, hey, we're going to do a schoolyard pick. Who's left can pick anyone but who won the challenge that day.
Yeah, and you can see some of the wheels and heads already start turning. Like Wes and Evan in particular are actually like the fact Wes was in the position he was in and only goes in once this season is pretty. I think that's a pretty impressive political performance, actually.
I agree, because considering he went in almost every time the previous season, I mean, that has to be the best bounce back season of any challenge competitor ever. And Wes is not my favorite challenge guy ever. But the fact that he went from where he was in Fresh Meat 1, where he was getting thrown in all the time, to I'm going to go in one time and win the season, spoilers. I mean, that's pretty insane.
We jump ahead to the ruins where he's the main character, but he gets thrown in every single time.
I think a lot of what it is, though, is that the guys on this season, one, he has better relationships with everyone here. Like, It seems like he's getting along with everyone. And then, two, the guys don't want to have him be the person that goes in and then potentially have to go against him. So his physical strength at this point really comes into play. And that's kind of why Beth lasts as long as she does.
Yeah,
he really gets eliminated on a
Easy
fluke.
lasts as long as he does, too. That's why Big Easy lasts as long as he does, too, because, like, you don't want to, like, go again and, well, pole wrestle maybe you'd actually be fine. But, like, what's the one that Trace hates called?
No, you don't want to go against Big Easy and pole wrestle. Is that what you just said?
No, pole wrestle's great. I can is the worst elimination that has ever been conceived on the show.
The one they had with Nani and Georgia on World of the Worlds 1 was real bad too.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was actually like problematic. I thought that was actually like problematic. Like that should not have happened. Like to have Turbo and Wes like tying up these women to these chairs, like that's not the image we need.
It was pretty much an elimination between Turbo and Wes.
Oh, 100%.
Like I don't think there's like much skill when it comes to getting out of a chair when you've been taped to it with duct tape.
No, it's just like I guess there's some like forearm strength involved, but that's about it.
And you've got Turbo, who doesn't play the politics of the show either.
I think he plays the politics more than he lets on.
So there are 4 finalists that will compete in the final challenge. 4 for the women.
2 for the women. 2 for the men.
2 for the women. 2 for the men. The winner of the final will receive $150 for the men and $150,000.
$150. Are you drinking too, Devin?
Oh my God. $150,000 for the men and $150,000 for the women. And after this, everyone goes back to the house. Johnny talks about how it's his first show. Derek says that in a separate conversation with, I think it was Wes. It was not Wes. It was CT and someone else. It was Derek, Wes.
I think Evans.
I think it was
Evan.
Derek and Evan.
And they talk about how Johnny will probably be the first person that's thrown in. And
he used Derek as a narrator for like a ton this season, which is such a weird role for him.
That gets us to the challenge for...
Oh, Big Easy's also in this. Sorry, it just flashed on my screen. It's Big Easy, Evan, CT, and Derek. Which one of these is not like the other?
I mean, Derek is quite short compared to the rest of those guys.
Fair enough.
The challenge for episode 1 is called Reaching Out. There will
bad first mission.
I didn't mind this one. We can get into it after this. Let me describe it real quick, and then we can talk about it. There are 2 heats, one for the men and one for the women. There's a giant circle made in the sand that is outlined by rope. In the middle of the circle, there's a disc that has 10 ropes tied to it. Each of the ropes goes toward the perimeter of the circle, made in the sand about 50% of the way to the perimeter. At the end of the rope, contestants will be locked in a harness with the rope tied to their harness, and at the sound of the horn, contestants will have to pull their way toward the edge of the circle where they can find a key that's buried in the sand, untie themselves, and release themselves from their harness. The first person to unlock themselves from their harness wins the challenge for the day. This is a Mayo elimination day, so whatever guy wins and unlocks their harness first will be safe from the duel, and whatever female wins the challenge gets 2 round-trip tickets on Frontier Airlines. Rob, tell us what you think.
Oh, I'm never a huge fan of weight-based eliminations or missions. I just think that they become somewhat predictable, and then I'm not a huge fan. Also, how they have this set up, what happens is, so there's 10 overall competitors for each side at this point. So the 5 guys on one side and the 5 girls on one side each end up like just coming together and pooling. And then so you're kind of forced to work together with people that you're just kind of put together with. So I guess I wouldn't have minded it that much if there was some room for some element of politicking here.
Do you think that they let them pick where they lock themselves in?
No.
Well, I'm not sure that they predicted what would happen. Like they knew that they were all going to have to end up coming together for this to work out. And no, I definitely don't think they let them pick. I think they just threw them in place.
To me, this was one of the biggest missteps of the season. You're going to come out of the gate with the first ever individual challenge. Like, that's something we might not have accentuated at the start of this podcast. This is the first time in the history of the challenge where there's going to be a single male and a single female that win the show.
Well,
and the first
that are not tied together.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But you have a first challenge on the duel that is won not by a single individual having an amazing performance, but just being the guy who they decide to, all right, you're going to win because we're tired and we're all going to move this direction to get this over with. Because that's what I felt like it was.
But to Rob's point, I don't know if they knew that would happen. But to counter that, I think they should have known. You know what I mean?
Because like, they should have
that's the what did they think?
Totally, they should know. Well, they should know a lot of things that they don't know.
Why do you think they don't know? They just don't care. Is that what this is?
I think it is apathy.
How much do you think? Apathy. How much do you think the producers of the show enjoy their job?
Not nearly as much as I would.
I'm with you. I honestly think they went into this challenge thinking that they all were going to go in different directions, but they didn't actually have 10 people try this challenge first. And if they had actually tested it before they decided on it, they would never have done it. So realistically, what happened is they got to the location, they did a trial run of it and went, oh shit, but then couldn't change it. And they like, well, we'll make it work. That was what happened.
I think apathy is a huge, especially in this point in time, apathy is a huge affliction amongst the production team.
Tell everyone the funny, I guess, the funny course, the humorous part of the women's heat. What happens?
Well, the fact that Robin wins.
Yeah, it's 4 versus 5 versus 1, with Beth trying to like be a hero, like out on an island, going completely nowhere.
And then the group of 4 is when that moves over to Beth, right? It's not the 5.
Correct.
Right.
It's the group of 4 moves toward Beth, and Beth is trying to like dig her key out of the sand, and someone from the group of 5, Robin, also kind of runs toward where the other team runs towards, is able to dig her key out of the sand first and wins for the women.
I don't get how she was able to move so easily.
I think it was just luck. If I'm being completely honest, she was in the right position in the harnesses, and when the weight was pulled, she just happened to be in the right place. It's not like Robin was the mastermind of getting this done.
I think just the way she moves here, she moves so much more seamless than everybody else. Everybody else is like straining and pulling, and it's like a huge ordeal. And then Robin just skirts over there like it's like no problem.
The men go, they branch off into groups pretty much immediately. Easy and CT are on one side, so that pretty much means it's over.
It's like Big Easy, CT, Evan.
Evan's on that side too? Are you sure?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's insane. Like, it was obvious that one of the men from that side was going to win because, like, Derek K was pulling and everybody else was quitting, and he's still trying to pull.
That makes me think that they did have somewhat of a say in where they lined up. If those three are on the same side.
But no.
I think the producers would put those three on the same side.
No, they probably
just don't care. We just talked
names
about
out
this.
of the
They don't
hat.
care.
Yeah,
No,
they totally
don't care.
They totally just randomized it and pulled names out of a hat. And we're like, okay, U5 and U5, go.
The producers had like 4 consecutive seasons where the teams are massively lopsided. They didn't care.
It's true. It's so true. They just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think like if I went in that room and was like, it would be like me in a group project in like one of my freshman year classes.
Like, what the
where
fuck
I'm
are you
like
guys
trying to like,
doing?
yeah, like I'm like I've got all these ideas and I'm trying to like, guys, let's do this. This will be fun and we can get a good grade and it'll all be great. And they're just like just off to the side on their phones. And
There's so many moments from these like early seasons, and it goes away as you get later into the show's history or like into more recent times. But early on, you just have so many moments where it's like, why? Like, what are you thinking? Like, why did you do that?
There's a lot of them in recent seasons too. We've already talked way too much about modern seasons, but the entire season of Vendetta is like the producers just like picking random ideas out of the hat that they had thrown in there from old seasons that they didn't use.
And there's a reason. It was run by the people that did Bad Girls Club. They did not know how to run a season of the challenge. It's a different animal.
Those 2 seasons killed the challenge for me. Like it was so difficult for me to watch the show at that point in time. I was like, there would be like multiple episodes that would like build up at once. I like wasn't watching it every week, partly because I was really enjoying what we were doing at the time with this too. So that made it even more difficult. And like, it was so nice. What was the first season after those 2 seasons that came out? Was it War of the Worlds?
War of the Worlds 1, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Because you had Dirty 30, which is great.
Love
and
Dirty.
then
Yeah,
you get the
that's
2
great.
turds that followed.
I honestly don't mind Final Reckoning that much. Vendettas is horrible. Final Reckoning, I think, has its moments.
So Easy is the one who ends up digging his key out of the sand first for the guys. He wins along with Robin. And we get to the selection process immediately after the challenge. And Jody mentions, and I think this is probably one of the sentiment for a lot of the people on the cast, is that they were given no time to deliberate on what the selection would look like, and they did it at the challenge immediately after it finished. So I think it kind of catches everyone on their heels a little bit here. Eric goes first. He picks Robin, then Brad, Jody, Derek, Keena, CT, Anissa, all the way down to the point where it is pretty much all Key West people left. And Kenny picks Svetlana. And at this point, Svetlana has to decide whether or not Johnny or Tyler will be the person that's guaranteed to go into elimination. And she chooses wisely Johnny.
I don't know if that's wisely.
Yes, it was wisely at the time.
It is, because think about it. At this point, like, he's probably like a slightly better competitor than Tyler. And
I don't think we have any room to judge who's the better competitor between.
I think so. From my memory, like, Tyler is like a complete dud in competitions early on in the show. From my memory, I could be wrong about that, but that's my memory.
Well, if you go by when this aired, you literally only had this competition to judge. I mean, just in terms of at the time, because Tyler later on got in better shape, but at the time, physically, Johnny was in better shape. And so when you have 2 unknowns there, I would pick the guy who works out a little bit more than the other guy. That's just how I would pull it.
I think Tyler, I would trust Tyler more than Johnny. Like, in a future situation, I would trust Tyler to more so align with me than I would Johnny. I don't know what their personal dynamics were at this time. I mean, this is really tomato. Neither of these guys were going to help her get that far in the game.
Tyler makes the dumbest move here, though, and I know
what the hell is he
so
thinking?
moronic.
I mean,
Tyler
this shows how stupid he was in this game at this point. Like, okay, it's obvious that they're going to put all the Key West people in first. And so Tyler picks Johnny. Like, what is this dude thinking when he does this?
He's 25 at this point, too. Like, so he's still pretty young, but he's not, like, super, super young.
He's old enough to know better. At least, I mean, but I guess, though, this being your first competition reality show, maybe it wasn't. But you picking Johnny is not going to endear you to the rest of the cast here. They're still just going to throw you right back in.
Everyone was really confused by it, too.
Yeah, he mentioned specifically that he wanted to pick someone he'd feel comfortable losing to. I'm like,
I think this is kind of like, remember in Inferno 2 where Karamo didn't want to go against
Landon wanted to go against Karamo.
Yeah, because
I think that's a different situation because Karamo was not beating either of those guys in just about.
I know, and he didn't want to feel like he got humiliated going against the Miz, and I think that's what's going on here. And we have one of the dumbest eliminations in the history of the show that we're about to talk about. And I think if it was like pretty much any other type of competition, we would have seen a different result.
Maybe 6 worst production decisions can be a show.
There's 6 in this episode alone.
I mean, there are some big whoppers for a season that is voted number 1 by the listeners of this show and Reddit and everywhere else. There's some big mistakes that happen in this episode.
It has its flaws. For me, they don't bring things down that much.
But like we said, the season gets better as it goes. But man, they started off with just some wonky stuff here to start.
Yeah. So Johnny and Tyler will go against each other in elimination to decide what the elimination for that night will be. TJ has 4 cards. He holds out in front of Tyler. Tyler picks 1 card, and each of the 4 cards correspond to an elimination for the night. Tyler picks a card, and it is called I Can. So this is not the most straightforward elimination to describe, but there's a crate made to pretty much hold watermelons. Attached to the crate are handles that branch out from the container. The contestant who, I don't know, here, I'm going to wing it. So what there is there's this giant container that's supposed to hold watermelons, and pretty much the object of the elimination is to kind of pick up the container that holds watermelons, but only one person will lift up the watermelons, and to decide who is the person who lifts up the watermelons, you kind of go in a bidding back and forth to decide how many watermelons will be in there to begin with, right? So if Rob and I are up for elimination, and I start off the process, I can say that I can lift 30 watermelons, and then Rob can either say he can lift more than me and name a number, or he can say, go ahead, try and lift 30 watermelons. And that's pretty much how it goes until someone pretty much goes out and tries to do it. And if they can lift it up and hold it up for 5 seconds, they win. If they're not able to lift it up, they lose. And it's a complete dud. The winner also gets a watch.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
So I will say this. How much do you think a watermelon weighs?
I have no idea. These are Brazilian watermelons, so I don't quite know what that means for their quality. They're obviously all going to be different. Are these full-size watermelons? 16 pounds maybe?
When I looked it up, when I watched the episode earlier, this is the size of an average watermelon.
Okay. I think it's 16 pounds probably.
Trace?
I would say 10 to 12 pounds.
All right. So it weighs 20 to 25 pounds. That's the average
20
watermelon.
to 25.
I know. These watermelons, they look like they weigh 5 pounds. That was my guess.
That's what I'm saying. These look tiny. How many do you think? There's 21 of them?
31. So they go through the bidding process between Johnny and Tyler, and it gets up to 31 watermelons. And Johnny challenges Tyler to lift the 31 watermelons, and Tyler goes out there and does it like he's lifting the end of a mattress. Like it pretty much like no like physical exertion whatsoever. Like he does it like he's like walking through the park, and Johnny goes home. So if each of these weighed like 10 pounds, I think what makes it easier is that this contraption that they built is kind of like on like a hinge at the end.
It is.
And so everyone should, like, if they really care enough to like know what we're talking about, just go watch the video of this and they can see, but it's kind of like on like a pivot. So like the container that they built to hold the watermelons kind of like swings on a hinge, like on a door, and it just makes it much more easier to lift up off the ground than it would be if you were like deadlifting the equivalent amount of weight.
And see, that's where I jump in on that.
Motion.
It is a very deadlift type motion, kind of. And all right, so for the people that listen to the show, I'm about 6'1", I'm about 210 pounds, and I do CrossFit, but I am not that in shape. Like I'm average in shape guy. I can deadlift on my best day 400 pounds, and that is like one rep. That's not that is one single rep at 400 pounds. If you gave me that equivalent, I could probably max out the watermelons that they have on this show because of the hinge, because it really is the whole motion of this is just getting it off the ground. Once it's off the ground, it's not that bad because you have so much of the weight evenly spread out. Like it's not like they stacked the weight in the middle. It's not like they lopsided it. They stacked the weight pretty evenly. So if you get it off the ground, you will hold it for 5 seconds.
That's what happens one of the next times that they do this with Easy, right? Easy maxes it out, doesn't he? They just run out of...
Yeah, he does. He maxes out and picks up every watermelon or coconuts or whatever it was.
They use different items each time. Well, the thing is, too, so 31 watermelons, so each of those is 22 pounds. That's about 680 pounds that Tyler's lifting.
I don't think... There's no way. Those watermelons are not 20 pounds. They're like 10 pounds.
I completely agree. No, I completely agree. There's no way that each of those things is 20 pounds. When they roll down to...
So, yeah, they roll down to, so let's say it's like 310 pounds. So each watermelon's like 10 pounds. I feel like that's still being generous, but let's say it's 10 pounds. So 310 pounds, like on a hinge, like, I think that's the factor that Johnny probably like didn't take into account when they went through this.
I put no blame on him for this elimination. How in the world is he supposed to be able to account for any of this?
I don't think you can. And that's why I say it's a crappy elimination.
Oh, there's a million. Any elimination where only one competitor really competes is a terrible elimination.
And that's the other thing, too, is, again, the name of the season is the Duel. And even though this is technically a duel in guessing, it's a terrible, awful game to play. It's awful.
Imagine if they replaced this elimination with balls in. Like, how much better this would be.
Yeah, I mean, balls in. I mean, you could do, hell, just put 2 ropes there and do a rope climb, and this is better than I can.
Yep.
Well, they already have a sender, so I don't know if we need a rope climb.
Anything.
Really, this is, all right, we have seen some bad eliminations in this show. Can we agree that this is the worst idea for an elimination in the history of the show?
The Nani Georgia one is worse. That one I can't. I legit can't watch that. That one's worse.
What are some other ones on that level?
Oh, there's definitely a lot. The one eating one, it's actually kind of similar to this one. On X's 2, actually it's really similar to this one, where it's pairs. So, like, the one pair has to bet how much they think the other member of their pair can eat. And they go back and forth like they do on this one, but eventually one of them has to eat, like,
yeah, that is pretty bad.
16 brownies or whatever it is.
That is pretty bad. I'll give you that. Really, anything where you're betting where the other person can do is just a bad decision in this show. It really is.
Those were bad.
Johnny loses. They give him 20 minutes to go back to the house, grab his things, and leave. We get our first Johnny Bananas toast on the show as he departs the house, and the moon transitions and the sun.
The sun, the moon, and the stars move around.
We're left with nothing until next season, right? Inferno 3, he's back. At this point in the time, this is still when everyone calls him John, too, or a lot of people call him John.
Would you have... All right, let's be honest here real quick. Sorry. if you were an original viewer of the show and this is airing in real time, would any of us have predicted that Bananas would be the face of the show based on this season?
Well,
No
of
one.
course, no. But I don't think anyone would have had a good prediction on who was going to be the face of the show moving forward.
And that's one of the things that I would love to draw up about the historical piece of the show is it's like you can never judge anyone by their rookie appearance. Good or
you
bad.
can make some good assumptions.
You can make some okay assumptions.
You can make good assumptions, but Johnny very well proved over the years, like, you can overcome a bad season if you work hard enough.
Definitely. I think everyone on the show right now and everyone associated with the show would be shocked if you told them that there would be 22 more seasons of the show after the one that they were on.
Yeah. No,
That's a great point.
And they're bringing in people from Europe and Turkey, they're pulling people from everywhere.
Would anyone?
Some guy named Turbo from Turkish Survivor is going to win the challenge? Right.
All right, I know we're giving a little bit of season 35 spoilers here in a casting thing, but would you have ever guessed in the year 2006 that a member of the Survivor cast would ever be on the challenge?
That's not as surprising to me.
So this is
They interacted.
This is something that I was going to bring up at some point. So out of all the people on season 40 of Survivor, Winners at War, who's the person that you would most want to see appear on the challenge? And I'll tell you right now, there's a right answer to this and there's a wrong answer. So go ahead.
Are they coming in current shape or what's the situation?
They can get ready. They can, they can get in shape. They know what they're getting into.
Can we time machine them back a few years?
No.
Okay, Natalie Anderson could actually compete.
No, I don't want to see her. She does not entertain me at all.
All right, so this is
going to.
This will probably shock you, Devin, because I don't like this person. I think Adam is the perfect person from Survivor to cross over to the challenge.
I disagree with that. I don't mind Adam, but I do not think he would do.
I dislike the guy immensely, but in terms of,
he doesn't inspire that much vitriol. But I just don't think he'd be that good.
I just don't really care for him. So the right answer is Tony.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
No, he goes home first episode. That's not even a question. No, Tony goes home first episode.
Because the thing is, the whole fun about Tony is him being crazy, running around, finding idols, building spy shacks. What's he gonna do on the challenge?
Challenge.
That's the whole point. Imagine what he's capable of on the show.
Him in.
No, he wouldn't do anything. He'd just be hanging with Wes for a little bit, and then
which is why
purged out.
Is actually intriguing because you could see Adam looking at the political landscape and going, "Okay, I can work with this person and stick around." I think Adam is currently the only member of season 40. Boston Rob physically would not be able to hang, but mentally.
Oh my God, no. Well, but I think any of them can hang mentally. I think going on Survivor and winning it is such a significantly more impressive mental achievement specifically.
I agree.
Than just being on the challenge. Any of them could hang mentally.
Oh yeah, but physically, no.
Can you imagine they have a purge like they did on Vendettas, where they have to run through all the mountain and all that stuff, or a final like they had in War of the Worlds 1, where they ran 24 miles in the desert, and you've got Tony Vlachos trying to run that. It would be
the current Survivor 40 cast. I think maybe Tyson is the only dude of the Mayo cast
can handle it.
That might handle it.
No, he can't. Dude, he used to be a professional. He used to be a professional bicycle rider.
I don't think he could handle it.
No,
I think he would. He could not come in last. That's the thing.
He would wipe the floor with them, Rob. You don't. So he is by far, you'll learn as you watch the show. He mops the floor with everyone when it comes to any running or swimming. It used to be his profession. That's what he did. I don't think it would take him that long to get in that kind of shape again. And he's not super old. He's probably in his early 40s.
He's in his early 40s, maybe late 30s.
Dude, he would definitely not mop the floor with these guys. Theo's an Olympic sprinter.
Yeah, but we're talking about endurance here.
Okay, well, sure. There'd be some specific missions where he could hang, but if he's going against Hunter in a pole wrestle, that would not be a good look for Tyson.
I'm talking about just like the final or like those type of like moments.
That's a different situation. But I think the whole thing about the challenge is you have to do a lot of different stuff. I think he's got a limited enough skill set where I don't think he could really hang.
And I will say that is why our show exists. That's why the challenge exists, is because of all the reality shows out there. You can't just be good at one thing. Like on Survivor, you can be an amazing political player and win. On the challenge, you have to be a good political player to get to the final, but you can also be a good physical competitor and get to the final. And you could be the best political player on the planet and still lose the final.
Yeah, there's not many one-trick ponies that win the challenge.
You have to be very versatile, and that is why, as much as our haters will hate me for saying this is why Johnny Bananas has the championships that he does in the challenge, is because he's not great at any one thing. He's decent at a lot of things, and he makes it to the end.
He's had a lot of help in getting some of those wins, too.
I will not disagree with that. He would not have won the Ruins if it wasn't for Evan and Kenny.
We have 3 episodes to get through, so let's
okay,
let's
fair
get
enough.
cooking.
Sorry, keep going.
Episode 2. The episode starts. Beth, Tina, Tyler, and Paula talk about how they feel like everything's a popularity contest. Beth says that she doesn't want any drama. Paula says that she's concerned with the fact that she's in the same room with Beth because she doesn't want that to like affect her in any way. Tina says that Beth is playing the victim, then calls Beth ugly. Not a good look for Tina. Diem talks about how she's been going through chemo for 6 months. She says she knows that she'll have to show people what she looks like without her wig at some point that she's wearing because she lost all of her hair from chemo, and which is foreshadowing for the challenge that's about to happen. Beth tells Tyler that Tina has zero integrity for what she did to Kenny the day before, when she's talking about how Tina did not pick Kenny in the selection process, even though that they were partners in the previous season in Fresh Meat 1.
Instead, was it somebody like
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Beth says that she thinks she'll go into the elimination every time. Jody says that in a confessional right after that they're going to go for Beth that day because she gives a bad vibe. And then in my notes I said, this is the last time we see Jody with a frown face, because I remember that at this moment. But we get to the challenge for episode 2. Diem says that she knows she's going to have to take her wig off when she sees that there's a giant mud pit. And there are 2 heats for this challenge, a male heat and a female heat. And to describe the challenge specifically, there's a giant mud pit in the shape of a football field. Contestants will start at one end of the pit, and at the opposite end are wooden poles with colored rings on them. And there's one color per pole. Each pole belongs to one contestant. And the object is to run from one end of the pit to the other end of the pit, grab someone's ring, not yours, off of the pole, and run back to the start and place it on the pole with a corresponding color. You can grab one ring at a time, and you're eliminated when you no longer have any rings and people have taken all of your rings and placed them at the other end of the pit. The last person left with rings wins the challenge, and this isn't a women's elimination day. The men can win some like DJ kit that was popular in the late 2000s. So what did we think of this one?
Well, they've done a variation of this challenge at least a half dozen times since. This is the type of challenge that I really get into personally, because part of it is politics, but the other part of it is how bad do you want it?
I feel like this is all politics, this one.
No, I think it is all. I think it should be all politics. I don't know how calculated these players are being.
Because like when the women, let's just talk about both simultaneously. But like when the women go, like they pretty much go like straight for Beth immediately. She's like knocked out before she can go back to the other end twice.
Sure, and then I mean, Diem puts in an impressive performance, and I mean this is one of those moments of her taking off the wig. Like that's one of like maybe like the 4 to 6 moments that people go back to on the entire show's history, would you say?
I was going to say
sure.
3.
I was going to say
this
is iconic. This is an iconic moment in the show is with Diem taking off that wig.
Like
I would honestly even like I feel like I would be hard pressed to name one that's more iconic than this moment. So what happens, I guess, just to say it, is that the women are about to go, and Diem starts to get emotional because she doesn't want to take her wig off, but she knows she's going to have to be able to compete in the challenge. Robin, making a very nice gesture, asked the production crew if they have any like swim caps for the women to wear, and kind of giving Diem like an out to like not have to show everyone what she looks like without her wig on. And Diem pretty much says, fuck it, like I'm not going to wear that, and takes her wig off and shows everyone what she looks like, and everyone kind of cheers her on and goes on to win the challenge for episode 2. And it's really a great moment in the show's history.
You have to say maybe the most heartwarming moment in the show's history, or at least like seen as the
easily. It's such a great time.
When you talk about the other best moments, usually the ones that come up are like Johnny or Smashley stealing the money, or CT backpacking Johnny, and it's like those certainly aren't something where you don't feel really good about yourself after watching those moments. Surely,
you're not wrong.
No, you don't want Smashley steal $500,000 from Hunter and be like, oh, let's that makes me feel really great about how things are going in the world.
You're not wrong. I do think that what's great is the quote from Diem about Derek. Like, she takes the wig off, and Derek Kaczynski goes, "Man, D, you look good." And she was like, "That made me feel so much better." And then CT was like, she's got that whole G.I. Jane vibe going on, which was a big movie at the time when this came out. I mean, it just really is a really nice, heartwarming moment in a show that is usually filled with cutthroat political vibes.
And she's like friends with pretty much all the guys on this cast. Yeah. At least has got good relationships with them. Like her and CT, obviously, I haven't started the relationship yet, but that'll come shortly. But like her and Wes are really good friends. Her and Evan, her and Derek, obviously. She's got solid relationships surrounding this cast.
Yeah. Basically, I think over half this cast was on Fresh Meat, so.
Which makes it incredible that she like never wins one. I have that in my notes at some point throughout these first 4 episodes, that like it's just like, especially in this era when it's like much easier to win a final.
She's only really on one team season where she has a shot, which is
Gauntlet 3. Yeah, and I would have said Battle of the X's would have been if CT hadn't gassed out.
Yeah, she had a shot on that one too. But I was saying like. The reason why it was so much easier is because of how many bigger team challenges there were and more than 4 people winning a season.
Yeah.
And
because what else is she on?
She had a lot of casting bad luck. I mean, she was on some seasons where bad luck.
Team in the ruins.
And she goes home first. Like, she goes home immediately. Yeah. Like, as much as Johnny and Evan and those people are her friends, they were there to play the game at the ruins. And they were like, hey, if we send Diem home, they're screwed. And they were right.
And then like
she gets unlucky with the seasons that she's on too. She's on a lot of like the more like individual based ones, or not team ones.
Like she makes it to the final elimination of Duel 2. Gosh, what else is she on?
Rivals 2. She's paired with Anissa, and like
that's tough.
They do okay, but like Emily and Paula like are a team in that season. Like that's just not happening.
Even if Diem had made it to the final, there's no way Emily and Paula were going to lose that final.
Oh,
like I mean, God,
they actually come pretty close to losing to Cara and Cook. They just Paula just destroys the eating portion in that final.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, man, she really has had some casting bad luck when it comes to seasons she's been on. Like Gauntlet 3 and Battle of the X's were her 2 best chances, and Big Easy kind of screwed up Gauntlet 3, and CT gassing out and Johnny and Camilla walking in their tracks in the snow won them that final.
I mean, to be honest, this is really, you can even say this is maybe her, I don't want to say it's her best shot. Gauntlet 3 is her best shot, but she has a really good shot to win this season. Mm-hmm. We'll get to it later on, obviously. But if Anissa takes out Jody, I would say Diem probably wins the final over Anissa.
I feel like last week she had a pretty
easily.
We can't say easy. This is a pretty short final.
For the men, Wes is out pretty much immediately. And in my notes, I have a comment about how Wes is physically ballooned from the season before.
Oh, he looks huge this season. Like, you see how ripped he looked when he had his shirt off?
Dude, he's fucking juicing for sure.
That's the other thing, too.
I know that he's denied it. I don't buy it.
All the dudes on this season look pretty jacked. I mean, Evan, Wes, CT, Derek, like everybody is jacked.
They're pretty cut too for how big they are. I don't like throwing out steroids because I have no idea how steroids work, and people can get pretty ripped without using steroids.
Yeah. I mean, if you make working out your priority, and Wes has claimed that in this time frame between Fresh Meat and Duel 1, he was lifting weights 3 times a day.
What else are these guys doing?
Well, Wes was the only dude he bought a yogurt place, if I remember right. Like he had really started a business, like he had done, or maybe he did that after Duel 1. I think I remember vividly he started a business that was very profitable. And even though he's doing beta blocks now, even though he sold the yogurt business, he apparently still owns the real estate of it. So the people that own the yogurt place now still pay him, which is weird.
I'm sure Wes especially had some side moves going on.
Sure,
these dudes were just going to bars, and like as long as they keep their alcohol intake to a certain level, it's not like they're in the gym like all day. So I can see how they look like that.
And especially, and this is a secret for all you people that want to lose weight and still drink. If you drink nothing but vodka and just drink straight vodka, it's 0 calories. So if you want to drink and have a good time and still get in good shape, just drink vodka. That's it.
It still does it's still not great for you.
It's not great for you, but in terms of other alcohols, like you don't have to deal with the fat and the sugars, especially if you use potato vodka.
Sure, yeah, comparatively.
I'm looking at beta blocks. Go ahead.
I don't have that much of a takeaway from the guy side specifically. They specifically do target Wes and Tyler early for being good swimmers. And then outside of that, I didn't think there was much notable.
So, who wins for the guys? Remind me.
Kenny wins.
Kenny somehow lucked into that win. Like nobody thought about throwing the rings on Kenny.
Kenny seems like a legit trash competitor for the first 2 seasons he's on the show. Like,
which is insane because the Duel is the only season he gets eliminated. Every other season he's on.
It's the only time he's in an individual elimination. Any other time he's in an elimination, it's a paired one.
A pair or a team, yeah. No kidding.
Well, I mean like an elimination. Oh,
that's right, because Inferno 3, he didn't even go to an elimination.
He doesn't go in
on Gauntlet or the Ruins.
Team ones. Yeah, and the team ones, he and Evan could just like dummy the team into not throwing them into eliminations. And then the only other times he goes in is like Freshman 2 or Rivals 1 when he's in a pair.
So Diem is the one that starts the selection process, and it gets down to the point where, there is no selection process because there's a fight here.
Oh, yeah.
After the challenge, I forgot about
skipped over something else there, but.
What did you want to talk about?
No, that's what I'm telling you. Like the
fight, quote unquote.
Beth and Tina start to argue after the challenge. Tina asks Beth if she wants some mud to go with her Botox, and Evan says, wherever you find God, you're also going to find the devil, in reference to kind of the altercation that's about to happen between Beth and Tina. Beth tells Tina not to nudge her because apparently Tina did that at some point. Tina tells Beth to back off, otherwise she's going to punch her. Tina says that she would love to get off for punching her. And Tina says that Beth tries to start the fight in the confessional after or in the middle of all of this. Beth says that she's not afraid of Tina. Beth goes up and I messed that last part up. Tina goes up to Beth after they kind of like chirp back and forth at each other and takes a swing at Beth. but Beth mostly blocks it.
It's the weakest punch of all time.
What makes it funny is that like after this in the next episode, so I guess we can transition into episode 3 because that's the end of episode 2, and we get into episode 3 where they kind of pick up the action again. And in episode 3, they have Beth in the back of like kind of like the medic like truck that they have with like an ice pack on her cheek.
She didn't even get hit. She got grazed.
She has a decent sized bruise on her cheek. That could be from anything. But like,
she did not get hit. If you watch the punch in slow mo, which they did on the show, Tina barely grazed her on the forehead. It is the weakest hit of all time.
So Tina, in one of her last. Go ahead.
We really need to work on this. We might need to cut that.
Let it roll.
Just let it roll.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, so my favorite scene though here is TJ leading Tina away as if she was like a WWE wrestler who like just came in and dove into a competition they weren't supposed to and then getting walked away.
And TJ is like, you have to go home now, right? And she's like, yeah.
But I watched this punch. I'm literally watching it as we're talking. Like Tina doesn't even really hit her. She maybe grazes the hairs on her forehead barely. I mean, she's gonna get sent home because you can't throw a punch and stay on the challenge. It's not gonna happen.
Well, tell that
which they pivot on a little bit later.
When Tony Reigns fights his brother.
Well, yeah. All right. In this era of the challenge, what's his name got thrown out for smushing Shane in the face in
that was a legit slap. Yeah.
It was a pretty legit slap, but that slap was way harder than what Tina did.
100%. Yeah.
Like Tina actually had the intent to hit her, but Tina did not hit. Like it barely glanced off.
We know what the context of this fight really was? Is it just them not liking
Heat of the moment.
But it's not like they were adding. Maybe Tina targeted Beth or something.
I think this is years of pent up emotion towards each other. And Tina says in one of her last quotes before we don't see her again until she comes in as a mercenary in Cutthroat.
The thing is, they use this as how they have CT fighting Adam when CT rolls in. Like this dude, he could kill somebody, and they cut to Tina barely grazing Beth in the punch.
So Tina says, punching Beth is like punching a frozen piece of pig, but I know you didn't feel it because that Botox has gotten your face all frozen.
Really going at the Botox here. Anti-plastic surgery.
Dude, Botox is so weird. I feel like I see it here in Southern California, maybe slightly more than you guys do. I don't know.
You totally do, probably. But Birmingham is the city of
I see my fair
try
share
to be
of
pretty.
Plastic surgery. I see my fair share.
It is so weird, dude. People's faces are just frozen. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just looks so unnatural.
You know what's weird is if they saw a ghost, they wouldn't even have an expression. Be like, "Oh, a ghost! Ah, sorry."
I just think that's just something I can't relate to. I think other people that might be what other people want, and I'm only 22, so luckily I haven't had to deal with some of the issues these people are trying to combat. So who knows? Maybe in 16 years I'll be all on the Botox game.
As a person who now has a 6-month-old at age 35 and I'm about to turn 36, the bags under my eyes are making me consider drastic measures.
Yeah, see, exactly. Wait, I'm stealing something from Pat Mayo here, but cold spoons is the way to go to combat bags under eyes.
See, I've been doing cold tea bags.
No, cold spoons is the way to go. Take 2 spoons, metal spoons, throw them in the freezer overnight, and then when you wake up, press them for 16 seconds against your eyes. No more bags.
All right, I'll give that a shot and report back.
As someone who my freshman year, I took this choose and decide majors course. So it's one of those garbage courses you take freshman year. And the teacher said I had an outstanding, we had to do a mock interview. And the teacher was like, "Oh, you didn't have an outstanding interview. You answered all the questions. One big issue: you have sad eyes." So now I've been trying to combat that ever since.
Don't you drink an aggressive amount of coffee though, Trace?
Yeah, like a pot a day.
I feel like if you cut that back like slightly, you might help yourself out.
Maybe.
If you don't want to cut back on coffee, cold spoons.
You know, I will just say I worked 13-hour days for the last month. There was nothing that was going to stop the bags under my eyes right now.
my someone that I work with at the new job that I started, he takes caffeine pills and he like swears by them.
No, I couldn't do that. I'll do
I would
coffee.
never take caffeine pills.
No.
He takes extended release caffeine pills, and there was a morning
What does
last
extended
week.
release mean?
So it's not like it like hits your body all at once. It kind of like gradually affects you like
spaced
throughout
out.
the course of time.
Okay.
And
How do they manage
come on, Rob,
that?
say that again.
How do they manage that?
I don't know. They do it for Adderall
Why
too.
wouldn't
That's
you
what I
just
remember
take?
it from.
Well, why wouldn't you just take a smaller dosage of pill at multiple points?
This way you don't have to. You take it once and it does it for you. You don't have to manage
That
it.
just
I'm
seems
on a
so
medication
bizarre. What
that's
kind
like
of
that,
contraption
yeah.
is it using that does that?
That's chemistry,
Look up
and I'm
extended
not
release
smart
Adderall.
enough.
I don't know
Yeah,
how,
it's chemistry.
but
That's so wild to me.
so there was a moment this last week where he was like, he couldn't find it for a second, and then he like dug a little bit more in his bag, and he's like, crisis averted.
That's definitely not an addict over there.
So, dude, I feel like that's what people are like with caffeine and coffee. Like,
Oh,
people,
100%.
I don't
There's a reason I
disagree.
don't-
If you guys knew me and you knew me before coffee, you might not have me on this show because I am an angry person, just miserable.
I'm 50% Cuban. My mom said it's all 100% Cuban. I don't drink coffee. Just almost. I actually get like the few times I have, I get pretty severe headaches. Like, and I'm usually a pretty durable person.
See, I get headaches when I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
You know,
See, I just don't want to be
the
like that though. Like it's like
I
people
will-
don't like cocaine waking up like when they don't drink their coffee.
I will say this on the podcast in the hope that it helps someone else. Stopping drinking caffeine or like consuming caffeine was like life changing for me. Like I felt like significantly better after I stopped. And like I used to drink like a ton of coffee and like energy drinks for years, and then I stopped and like immediately felt better. And it like gradually gets better like over like the months that follow. But like definitely glad I did that at one point.
Fair enough, man. I just
Well,
know
today's
that
very special episode of the Challenge Chronicles.
do we need Ben Affleck to star in the after school special on caffeine pills, like Saved by the Bell or something? I'm so excited. Sorry, I this is getting way
Is
for
Ben
the people
Affleck-
listening.
wait,
It's
Wait,
10:30 at night.
Is Ben Affleck on an episode of Saved by the Bell?
No, he did an after school special where he was like a quarterback of a football team who took steroids.
Oh, how did that go for him?
Well, obviously pretty
There's-
well. He won an Oscar.
Well,
Have you guys seen- Have you seen the he's on when Ben Affleck's on Bill Maher and they're talking about like Muslims and like the religion of Islam? Have you seen that?
No.
And he's just
Oh,
like
dear
in way
God.
over his head. Look it up afterward. It's absolutely hilarious. Like he's just like everyone else is just like on a different level than him, and he just like comes in like pretty much like screaming like periodically, and they have to like kind of like calm him down. But
That might have
They're
been when
pretty-
he was drinking heavily, is my guess.
yeah, honestly, I think it was. I think it may have been.
There's an
But-
episode where he was like on HBO's The Ringer show when Bill Simmons had that show on HBO for a few episodes, and it was obvious that dude was on a bender because he looked like ass that whole episode.
How old is Ben Affleck?
Oh, he's like
Alright,
45, 46.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna say 47. I'll take the over just to
Is he
spice it
really
up.
that
Rob.
old? Well, he was in. How old was he in Good Will Hunting?
Like 27. That was almost
I mean,
20
yeah,
years
maybe so.
ago. I would have said
Yeah, I
he's
guess so.
45, 46. That's
Oh,
be my
by the
guess.
way, Good Will Hunting is way more than 20 years ago, Trace.
No, that was 97, my friend.
Well, still more
Rob.
than 20 years ago.
13. No, wait, no, God, 23 years. I'm so old. Sorry. Yeah, 23 years. God, yeah.
Rob, what's your guess?
He's
How old he
50
is?
again. He's 50.
No, he's not 50. He's like 47.
That was my guess and Rob's, and we both got it.
Look at us.
We get into the challenge for episode 3 because pretty much nothing happens. Pretty much everything before the challenge for episode 3 is the drama and the fallout from Beth and Tina. And
a lot of very generic confessionals interspliced here.
The challenge for episode 3 is called Pass with Care. Pass with Care. You'll be paired with a contestant of the opposite sex. So this is a pairs challenge. There are 2 flat platforms that are elevated above water and are connected to each other with a very unstable bridge. Picture the bridge from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And right when this challenge started,
zombies.
Yeah, dude, I had to I had to go watch on YouTube the video, that like portion of the Temple of Doom where they're coming at him from each direction on the bridge, and he like cuts the bridge down. That's like one of my favorite movie scenes. It's like so suspenseful.
I'm pretty out on Indiana Jones, actually.
Oh, dude, don't stop. We're just gonna move on. We just need to move on.
Yeah, the object
Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my top 6 movies of all time.
We're gonna plow through. Plowing through. Object of this challenge is to go from one end from one of the platform to the other in the shortest amount of time. To start off the challenge, the male will be on one side, the female will be on the other. So as you try and get to the other platform as quickly as you can, you will have to cross paths. Name of the challenge, with each other. But to ensure that, I think they made this rule so they just don't have one person running across the bridge at the same time, and to make sure that both people are on the bridge at the same time, you have to both meet in the middle and touch this plank on the bridge.
And it's red.
It's red.
Of them, yeah, it's a different color from the rest of them. So you have to pass at that plank.
And the team that does this the fastest wins the challenge for episode 3. And I say that we skip over this entire first part. So what happens is no one can pretty much complete this.
Beth's run on this is hysterical.
Right. So Beth is the first one that goes, and at this point, like, I think she's committed. Like, I think she like realizes that this may be like one of her best chances to win the show.
Yeah.
Who is she with?
Kenny.
And she's like, screw it. Like, I'm just gonna go for it. And before Kenny even gets to the third plank, Beth is just like sprinting down the bridge and like falls off and eats.
It's brilliant.
But
I love this challenge, by the way. I don't know what y'all think. This challenge cracks me up, and I love it.
Pretty dopey mission. Like this, there's not much going on here.
It's dope,
but fine.
It's a great dopey mission that's entertaining as all get out. And watching
it's fine. If they set this up where it was a hall brawl and they had 2 teams of people running into each other, then I'd be all in.
So no one can complete the challenge the way that it's designed, because the way that it's designed,
suspension bridge, like that's actually a thing.
The way that it's designed is that you are DQ'd if you kind of reach down and touch the wooden planks, or if you sit on the planks, you're DQ'd, and there's no railings on the bridge for you to like hold and kind of keep your balance. So as you run across, the bridge is pretty uneven. And so this is kind of like a balance challenge. That's fundamentally what it is. It's a balance challenge, and no one can complete it. The closest that anyone comes to completing it is that when CT and Diem go, Diem makes it all the way across to the other end, and CT makes it a few planks past the middle. And short of that, like, I don't even think anyone came remotely close to that. So they changed the rules. They have a second heat, and TJ says that you can touch the planks, you can sit on the planks, you just have to get across as quickly as possible. And once this happens, I alluded to this earlier, but this is easy. I think Easy's probably like biggest showing on as long as he's on the challenge. He pretty much does what Beth does, and pretty much like goes for it, runs down the bridge, and makes it, I would say, probably like 3/4 of the way to the other plank before or the other platform before he kind of like has to like fall down, grab the plank in front of him, and crawls across the rest. And he finishes in second to Jody and Evan, but they only lose by 10 seconds. So it was pretty close in the end.
Do you ever think, and this is way out of left field, so I have heard in an interview TJ talk about like production does all the challenges before the challengers show up and they usually complete them. Do they underestimate how hungover the cast is when they do this?
I don't buy that they demo all these missions.
I bet you they do, dude.
They have
because
to.
They have to make sure that no one's going to get hurt.
I mean, they canceled the human cannonball mission because a production member like, got seriously hurt because of it.
That was like one of the first 4 seasons.
It was like Inferno. I can't remember what it was.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't one of the ones we covered. It was prior to us, our joining of the Challenge universe.
I just remember that production tried it, and a member of production got so insanely hurt that they were like, yeah, we can't do this.
It was a human catapult. They had a catapult. They launched people into like this like target platform.
So like,
I was just thinking they were filming in America at that point. So like the health insurance laws were way different than if they're filming in like Namibia.
So I was thinking about, so that made me think, that human catapult challenge made me think about like how I first like.
Oh my gosh, it was Gauntlet 1. Sorry, it was Gauntlet 1.
No, it wasn't. No,
yes.
It was not.
No, it wasn't. It was before that.
No, it was before then, because I remember seeing about it on like this like clip show of the challenge where they talked about like the challenge, and like John Murray was on it, and he even talked about how like the reason they decided to do the challenge was because whenever they brought Road Rules and Real World together, the shows like before there was a challenge, whenever those like paths crossed, the ratings just like went through the roof.
All right,
so that's what made them.
It was the Extreme Challenge. My bad.
Yeah, and so that's what made them decide to do it. And so, have you guys seen that video that I'm talking about?
No,
I do not believe so.
So that video is good, but then that also made me think of another video that is, I think, like generated by a fan of the show. If anyone can send this to me, please do, at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com. It's kind of like there's some guy that made like a top like 50 moments in the show's history. It's probably through like, I don't know, maybe like X's, and it's actually really good. And they like clip out like pretty like full length versions of the moment. So it takes like, I don't know, maybe like an hour to like sit through and watch all of them, but it's really good. Have either of you seen it?
I think I
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was on Daily Motion.
I don't know if it was. Like, I almost want to say that it was on like some privately hosted site, or like maybe like one of those sites where you can just like bulk like upload like a bunch of like video files or something. It was almost like, I want to say it was like on a Dropbox or like something like that, but not Dropbox specific. But someone should send it if they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, those really old seasons, like Extreme Challenge specifically, they were just like bringing in anybody who has a decent Q rating was showing up on the show. Like there was one episode where they had a paintball mission that went all wild, and then they went to like the Court of Judge Mills Lane to defend themselves.
That was also when they had like Kobe Bryant show up, and they had like the
Kobe
whole cast,
and
Kobe and somebody.
I think it was Reggie Miller.
I honestly don't remember. I just remember it was Kobe, and they got creamed by Kobe and whoever his partner was.
Shocker.
It was like 6-on-2, and
Reggie
Kobe
Miller.
still killed them.
Yeah, it was Reggie Miller. Yeah, shocker that Kobe and Reggie Miller would beat a bunch of
and they were young dudes, man. This was like Kobe as a rookie kind of time frame.
Well, it was 2000. No, it was 2001. 2001. They won the title in 2001.
So he was like 3 years into his career at that point.
Yeah, he was like I think he was drafted in '96. So he was actually like 5 years into his career. Right, and Reggie, of course, was actually pretty old come 2001. But we should rewatch that at some point. Just like Reggie Miller and Kobe Bryant torch.
Just for kicks and giggles.
Whoever's on that season, like Cyrus in basketball.
The Road Rules team on that season is pretty good. It's Emily Bailey's on it, Latarian, and then Susie too.
I don't know if it's that good. It's
for the time
moderately notable. I think the real one was actually better.
Jamie Murray, is on Real World. Julie, Dan Renzi.
Yeah, the Real World team I think is better. It's got Cyrus too.
Cyrus. That Real World team is incredible, especially from like a character perspective too. I think
incredible is a bit strong. They're solid.
I think Cyrus. So going through and rewatching these episodes and like paying closer attention to them from doing the podcast, Cyrus has definitely like grown in my mind quite a bit. He's probably one of the players that I enjoy more now than I did before we started doing this.
Cyrus is fun. I like Cyrus. It's funny, his spacing on seasons is real weird.
Yeah.
It's just hard because, like, as a viewer, your last impression of him was the ruins, and he didn't exactly have. I mean, he was decent in the missions, but his elimination was not great, and so I think people's last impression of Cyrus was like, ugh. But when you go back and watch
Evan,
it,
honestly.
it's good.
Like, people remember Evan, I feel like, a lot now for Rivals when he's not Evan, and then if you go on
he didn't even want to do that season. He did that as a favor to Kenny and John.
He legit said that, where he did it as a favor to help them get farther.
And he already knew he was going to leave before the end because he had some program at his college that he was working on, and so he knew he was going to throw a mission to go home at some point.
But you watch Evan on any other season, and he's easily a top 3, top 4 guy. Like, not even a question. He's one of the top guys on every other season he's on.
Agreed.
Evan starts the selection process because it's a male duel day. It gets down to the point where Casey has to decide who will go in, and she has to decide between Kenny and Tyler. Casey chooses Kenny, right? Yeah, Kenny. So Tyler will have to go into elimination. Tyler chooses Derek to go into elimination. But at this point, who would be the right person to pick? Nehemiah?
Probably Kenny or Nehemiah.
Yeah, I would have gone Kenny or Nehemiah. But at this point, though, if you're Tyler, you're going to go home eventually because there's no way they're just going to keep throwing you in. So if I'm Tyler, I don't actually fault him for swinging for the fences and going after Derek here.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we glossed over definitely, though, is there's a scene in the very first episode where Tyler and Paula are talking. And Tyler has this quote that, hey, I'll be able to help you out because all the girls will love me and I'll get picked first at all the times. And he's on 2 episodes. He's picked 2 times that he's eligible for being elimination. He's not picked.
Tyler picks a card, and it is Ascender, an elimination that we haven't seen yet. And as we get to the elimination, Ascender turns out to be you have to climb up a rope until you get to a set of monkey bars, climb across the bars, release a set of puzzle pieces while you're still in the air, climb back across the monkey bars from where you came, climb down the rope that you started on, and complete a puzzle with the pieces that you released from the air. And the person that completes the puzzle first wins the elimination as both of you complete on your own course at the same time. And the winner will also get an Xbox 360. And this is pretty much like a wash until both people get to the puzzle, because the puzzle, as in all reality shows, is the great equalizer.
Yeah. Honestly, doesn't it seem like it should be still original Xbox time frame?
Yeah.
It feels that way, but
the way the show is shot, the level of footage they're using is definitely way closer to original Xbox and Xbox 360 in my opinion.
For those of you listening, this is still when they were shooting the challenge in standard definition, so it's a 4:3 frame non-HD, so it feels older than it actually is.
Old. What's the first?
Yeah, the aspect
HD? Is it Duel 2?
No, it's Island is the first HD season.
Oh, okay.
As it should be.
Yeah, another reason why the
HD.
Island is the bomb.
Yeah, it does not feel HD.
Derek wins. I don't really have much to say about that elimination.
Derek wins a puzzle.
I don't really care for that elimination. So far, we've seen a few duds or a couple duds.
I think it's fine.
For this point in the show, it's fine. Today, we would have a real problem with that elimination. Back then, it's fine.
Well, I think it'd be shot a lot differently now. I think they set it up actually so much similarly to that Laurel Ninja elimination, and then would just have a puzzle thing at the top you'd grab and then go down and complete the puzzle.
So how weird is this? So in the first challenge, or in the first episode, they let Johnny go back to the house and say goodbye to everyone. And
well, they did that. That was pretty commonplace.
Oh, hold up. In this elimination, they do not let Tyler go back to the house and say goodbye to everyone.
Maybe Johnny hung around too long.
Well, hold on. And now in episode 4, when Paula goes home, they let her go back to the house and say goodbye to everyone. So one random episode, they don't let Tyler go back. Isn't that weird?
Maybe Tyler just didn't want to go back.
I doubt that. Like, why?
Well, I mean,
why would he even
go back?
That's so random for him to be like, no, I don't want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's assumed at this point. You know what I mean?
You know, I think he probably did, but it was probably more interesting to show the Derek Beth fight that happened, where Derek's like, just be a good person.
Yeah, how do we know he didn't go back?
He probably did go back.
They say.
What do they say?
Yeah.
See, I didn't catch that.
I don't recall, but there is like some language that they say that makes it clear that he has to say goodbye to everyone there, and that was the last time they were going to see him.
Man, who knows what could be going on? But maybe they. I really don't know, but I'm sure it was just some weird thing we're not privy to.
So after the challenge, there's like Anissa and Beth start to get into it before everyone heads out to the bars, and that's kind of mild compared to when Derek comes into the room and really starts to go at it with Beth. And Derek tells Beth she's difficult, and he starts, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, he starts screaming at Beth and tells her to be a good person, like Trey said. And I don't know. Anyone have anything else to add to that?
Really, it's just a wonky verbal confrontation.
Yeah.
Derek is clearly like inebriated. It's not the best look for him, honestly.
In the post credits for episode 3, we kind of, behind the credits, we get a scene of the girls. We get a scene of the girls painting makeup on CT as he's like blacked out.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't just makeup. They like put a bra on him with strawberries for nipples. Like, they went hardcore with their decorating of him in drunkenness.
Episode 4, before the challenge, Derek tells Casey that she might get called out, and there are a couple other people that Derek or that are a part of this conversation. I think it's Derek, Svetlana, and maybe Paula, and it's a conversation about how those 3 are at risk for the elimination for that day. And we get a confessional from Anissa, and that she says that you really can't trust anyone. We get, I don't know, a token challenge confessional. Paula talks about how all the Key West people are going home first. And we get another confessional from Derek where he says that, in some foreshadowing, that Svetlana, even though she's a Key West person, is probably going to be around for a while. The challenge for episode 4 is called Roller Derby, and the object of the challenge is, well, the challenge takes place on a roller rink, and the men will compete against the men, the women will compete against the women, and the object is to make it around the roller rink 10 times, and the person that makes it around the roller rink 10 times first wins. There will be 2 heats for the men and 3 heats for the women, and the last round will be a championship round for each sex. And on the straighter ways of the roller rink, it's kind of like shaped like a hockey rink, but you can only like skate on the outside, obviously. But on the straighter ways of the rink, you can attempt to knock your opponents out of the rink. If you get knocked out and you can't get back in for 3 seconds, you are eliminated. And you also, if you're skating around the rink, cannot hold on to the edge of the rink. And I don't know if they say it explicitly, but I think multiple people kind of get DQ'd if they don't get up quickly enough after they've been knocked down.
You have 3 seconds to get off the ground. If you're on the ground more than 3 seconds, you're out.
Okay. And for the guys, since this is a women's elimination day, for the guys, if you win for the men, you win a BMW motorcycle. This is so random. This is like way over the top compared to like any other.
Well, like the DJ K one for the ring mission.
Yeah, so a DJ system to a motorcycle, and not just a motorcycle, a BMW motorcycle.
I think this is what happened. So like I think they lined up the sponsors for the season, and then they like go to each sponsor and they're like, oh, like what do you want to like put up for your prize for the mission that you'll be the sponsor of? BMW was like, oh, well, like we'll do a motorcycle. You know what I mean? Because like, what else are they going to give them? You know? So like, it's like they kind of like probably like they sold BMW on being a sponsor, and then it got to the point where BMW had to decide, and it was like, oh, we'll put in a motorcycle. You know what I mean?
But probably also didn't have much context for what everybody else was handing out.
Yeah, is this not the best prize though in the history of daily missions? Like a BMW motorcycle is worth
to this day, point. Right?
I mean,
like in Rivals 2, when you won a mission that wasn't your day, you were winning like $1,000.
Like, I wonder how much that like retailed for at the time.
Probably
like
15 would have been my guess. I mean, 15. It's probably worth 25 now. So I would guess about 15 to 19K at this point.
So this is Brad's actual second place prize.
He still owns that bike too. He's put it on Twitter.
Sure.
He's put it on Twitter where he's like, I can't wait for spring so I can ride my bike. And it's like, there's his BMW motorcycle. It's like, man, talk about like, hey, I didn't win the challenge, but damn, I won a BMW motorcycle.
So
he could just like, 'cause if he doesn't want it, he could just sell it for like 20K.
Brad. So on the first mail, Brad wins. He narrowly defeats Evan. The second mail, CT wins. And then let's just finish talking about the men's portion of this challenge. It's CT versus Brad. And right off the bat, like I wouldn't even describe what CT is doing as skating. CT is pretty much like running around the rink with skates on.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much like beating each other up. And like, I'm honestly kind of surprised that Brad is able to edge out CT in this. I kind of like this challenge. It's a good one.
I love this challenge.
Good. Yeah, it's good.
And the thing too is CT didn't even have to skate 10 laps the first time. He just knocked everyone off to the point where he was the last man standing. Like that's what's brilliant is he just beat the crap out of everybody and was like, okay, we're out.
Like there's not many, like Wes is really ripped this season, obviously, but he's just so much shorter than CT. Like, there's not many people who can just match CT, like, size-wise.
That's why it's surprising that Brad actually wins.
I think what probably happens to CT is he's so focused on, like, knocking Brad out that Brad, when he dodges him, can kind of just, like, actually try to win.
On the male or female portion of this, Jody wins the first heat. Casey wins the second. Paula wins.
Casey will win the second heat.
Yeah, she does.
It was bizarre.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just weird. Yeah.
Who was in that second heat? What happened there?
I mean, she was the only person skating, and the rest of the girls were just like beating the crap out of each other. And Anissa tried to knock her down, and Anissa fell.
It was like Anissa, Paula, and Casey, right? And Anissa and Paula were like going at it. Like Anissa was just not letting Paula move, and Casey was able to get around.
Because Paula makes it to.
They eliminated Anissa because even though Casey was losing, she was being pushed up against the rail. But one of the rules, this is so Johnny Mosley right here. I mean, this mission was crying out for Johnny Mosley. Yeah. Anissa got DQ'd for holding on to the rail while trying to push Casey over. And because Casey did not have her hands on the rail, she won.
Pushing them over the rail, that seems a little excessive to me. Like, can't they just like push them out of like a line or a box?
It had to be either the interior or over the rail on the straightaway.
I just that seems unsafe, honestly.
I mean,
the winners of each of the three heats are Casey, Jody, and Svetlana. Those are the final three.
Yeah.
And in the finals for the women, like Jody just torches him. It's not even close. Like they pretty
But
much
you know what?
decided-
You're also forgetting Robin losing her skate in her heat and like skating one-footed trying to tackle
Yeah.
Svetlana. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And watching Evan and CT lose their minds in laughter watching this is great.
Yeah, so she does have a pretty funny like peg leg look here.
It's good times.
Casey has to pick for the selection process. Every single time I say Casey, it's going to happen again. Multiple times throughout us recording this podcast, my computer thinks I'm say Siri, and it like starts to like flash up on the screen, and it's so annoying. Like I like cannot stand Siri, to be honest. Siri.
Oh,
like,
I've never used Siri. I have an iPhone that I'm using now. Never used Siri.
As a
Intentionally, at
Microsoft
least.
consultant, I implore all of you to buy a Surface. It's great.
What's their version of Siri? What's it called on Android?
Cortana.
Oh yeah,
Cortana.
Cortana, like from Halo. They removed her from Xbox though.
Thank God, by the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like this is a way off the rail story. But so when I first got like my Xbox One, it was a while ago. It was like when it came out. They had this function where when you were playing NBA 2K, if someone cursed in the background, then it would give you a technical foul. So I had multiple games where
So dumb.
I had multiple games where my family was just like yelling at each other behind me because I had my Xbox in the family room, and I would like lose because they would give the other team technical fouls.
That is incredible. That makes me so happy to hear that. That's awesome.
We get into the selection process for the women's elimination, and it gets down to the point where Easy has to pick between Paula and Svetlana for who will be the one that's guaranteed to go into elimination for episode 4. Paula pretty much tells Easy to pick Svetlana to be safe and makes it easy for Easy. So Paula will go into elimination for episode 4. She decides to go against Anissa, which why she didn't pick Casey, I'm not sure. Maybe
that's a great question.
Some type of
Well, she
relationship.
said specifically that Anissa was like pushing her around in the mission.
Yeah, but then afterwards she says that like she actually like didn't mean that, and she just said that for the show. Didn't you see that?
Yeah.
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 So
We don't know when she.
There's
was
a lot
on.
of questionable political decisions by the Key West cast here at the beginning of the season.
yeah, they're still trying to figure out what's going on here, and
It's not Rivals 1 yet.
Paula.
Which, by the way, did Paula not dodge a bullet by having a fight with Evelyn sooner than Anissa? Because if she hadn't had that fight with Evelyn, she would have been partnered with Anissa on Rivals 1.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Paula picks the cards from TJ for what the elimination will be and picks pole wrestle. And after the challenge, but before the elimination, Anissa and Paula start to get into it a little bit because I don't even know if I want to get into it. Someone else does it. Like, it's not worth even mentioning, but we probably should just to.
I mean, pole wrestle is the quintessential elimination challenge for the challenge. I mean,
No, I was talking about the. No. I'm talking about
God.
what happened between Anissa and Paula after
Well,
the
they're like
challenge.
getting on the car.
Oh, where they're fighting over by the pool?
Yeah.
Okay. It's lame. It's awful. Anissa is going after Paula, and Paula's just like, I just picked you because of I want to go against you, and it's for the show, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just stupid. It really is.
We don't need to talk about it.
No,
Elimination
we don't
for
talk about
episode 4. We get pole wrestle for the first time, which will be one of the most iconic eliminations in the show's history. Is this maybe second to Hall Ball or third to Hall Brawl and Balls In?
I still think this is better
than Hall Brawl.
This is better.
No,
I think
I'm
it's
saying
way
as far as like the order of most iconic. Like I think this might be better, but they don't do it as often as the other.
No, but it's iconic, especially for the end of this season for Wes versus Derek. I mean, that might be the greatest elimination in the history of the show.
I think pole wrestle is I would say it's more iconic for me.
So what happens is each contestant grabs onto this wooden pole that's, I would say maybe like 3 feet long.
Is it wooden?
And yeah,
It's wood this season.
I didn't realize.
and you have to pretty much pull it away from your opponent until they're no longer grabbing onto it. And the first person that can do that wins. And unfortunately for Paula, Nisa has like 40 pounds on her. And
this was kind of hard to watch, honestly. Like these are just separate weight classes.
I will say this though, that Paula held on way longer than I expected. She put up a real fight on this. I mean, 8 minutes and 19 seconds against Anissa is nothing to sneeze at here.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
After the challenge, they give Paula 20 minutes to get her stuff. So I'm gonna keep track of this throughout the whole season. And to this point, there have been 3 duels, and 3 Key West people have gone home. Well, and the last Key West person has gone home because the 4th is making it all the way to the finals. Evan is. Oh, this is a side note that I have. So that's the end of episode 4. And the note that I have is I looked throughout the course of the season, and Evan is either the first or second guy chosen every single time but one.
The time he goes in?
Yeah. Or no. The time that there's like one random time where he's like one of the last people in the selection process that gets chosen. Where, let me see if I can find it.
Well, he and Jody were hooking up on the low this season, right?
Yeah.
That probably helped him out a ton.
Yeah, that politically helped a lot.
So there's randomly one episode where Svetlana wins, and that kind of changes the dynamic a little bit because then, this is really weird. So normally the people so there's an episode where Svetlana wins in episode 6, and so the people that normally were getting picked last go first here. So it starts out.
Well, that's right, because Wes and Svetlana won the swimming challenge. So it goes.
That was towards the end, though.
Svetlana, Wes, Anissa, Nehemiah, Beth, CT, Keena, Derek, Robin, Brad, Jody, Evan, Easy, Diem, and then Casey. And then Casey picks.
That's when she picked Robin.
Robin. Every single time I say Casey's name, or not every single time, but that's when Fury comes out.
That is a blunder by that alliance, though, to not figure their stuff out and get Casey protected.
But it also shows you that they didn't really have their stuff put together this season. I mean, they had an alliance, but it was not the best alliance on the planet.
Their alliance is just Wes running around trying to get people who hate each other to work together. Because, nobody in that alliance. It's like Anissa, Beth, and Svetlana are the 3 girls in that alliance. There's no cohesion between that unit.
If you had to pick one of those girls to run a final with, who do you pick?
Are those 3?
Yeah.
Oh, Svetlana, easily. I can at least carry her.
Svetlana who?
Anissa
Beth and Anissa.
It's Svetlana, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. That's
no. The question is, if you had to run a final with Beth or Anissa, who would you pick?
Oh God, give me Anissa at least.
Really? I don't know, dude. I might go with Beth.
I would actually go with Anissa. This
is
is one of the few times I agree with Rob on this. I would go Anissa.
Well, Beth's the runner, though. You have to remember that from going.
Oh, yeah. That's a callback.
Oh, but you. Oh, my gosh. She's a runner.
Job.
You know what? I will. The reason I pick Anissa is at least she knows what a final looks like. Beth has never even sniffed a final.
Well, she had her final in that one season. She showed up in the first 4, I guess. When she had to grab the money in that little tank.
That doesn't count as a final. No one gets eliminated.
Obviously. And they should do a Rivals 4 and then do what they did in Final Reckoning where they dig up their partners. Can you imagine if Anissa dug up Beth as her partner, how surprised she would be?
I still maintain that the biggest casting mishap that has ever happened in the history of the show is Rivals 1 not doing Coral and Beth.
Dude, I really like the story that one of you guys told. I think it was one of the last couple of times that we recorded that you listened to a podcast where I think Jemmy was on it for which season?
Rivals 2.
And they were grabbing their uniforms for the season, and she saw the trunks or the shorts that said Coral on it because Coral was supposed to be on that season. But
that was on Dirty 30.
Dirty 30. Coral
right.
dropped out the day before they left for the season.
Yeah, I think like Jenna replaced her or something.
What happened? Why'd she drop out?
Probably weren't paying her enough money.
Yeah, but she's going to decide that the day before.
Well, she was probably trying to do a leverage play. Like she was still in negotiations and like it was becoming the last day and then they couldn't have gotten a number and she walked.
Yeah, I would probably say Coral made a power play and lost because even though hardcore
she lost.
You know, she lost in that she probably was like, I can probably get more money out of them. And the producers went, you're not worth that. We're moving on.
I don't know.
We don't know. She could have just walked. Like I think like, she just might not have a number that's worth it to her.
But see, at that point, you already are locked in a contract wise, though. That's the thing to me is it's like if you make it to the day before leaving, before you drop out, like you already know what you're going to get paid to show up, and you just go. And if you don't,
come on the show and tell
Watch to be like some Are You the One chick named Coral that we don't know about who's actually spot that actually was.
Dude, I feel like that's way more likely.
I mean, I'd have to do some digging.
I don't even know. I've never watched a single episode of Are You the One, and I don't plan on ever doing that.
I already watched like an episode of Second Chances.
Of what?
The one where they actually like do missions and are in pairs.
Do they still do that show anymore?
Are You the One?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
I think
X on the Beach kind of took its place.
Well, they had the one pansexual version of Are You the One, and then they had another one after that. I think they had one after that.
Dude, reality TV is getting so out there.
Yeah.
Well, it has to.
Say, though,
social media has taken so much of its spot.
I will say this, though. I actually watched a couple episodes of... It's not X on the Beach. It's the one where they're in the ski lodge.
Well, it is X on the Beach. It's X on the Peak.
X on the Peak. That's what it's called. I knew it had a different name, and I watched...
Marlon and Laurel are on it.
I just watched it.
Really? Wait, who's on it?
Marlon, Laurel, Jamie.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Laurel's on it? Wait, what is Laurel on? X on the Peak?
X on the Peak. Yeah, she's with Marlon and Jamie.
He is Nicole's ex that shows up on the show.
Yeah.
Wait,
Nicole does not come off good on that show.
No, Nicole is not. Watching it, I didn't like Nicole prior to X on the Peak, but she really does not have a good look on this show.
What's the object of this?
Oh,
what's going on?
It's like you can like vote people off, I guess.
Yeah,
it's just a hookup.
It's a hookup show with a vote. That's all it is.
How do they do? When was this?
Like in the last 3 months?
How'd she do?
I don't know. I only watched a couple episodes because I heard Laurel was on it, and then I clicked out. I didn't even see the end.
It looks like her last episode was like 7-ish.
Who, Laurel?
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't last that long.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Who won this thing?
Well, there's no winner. It's just like you hang around.
You hang around
for being disliked.
If there's no winner, like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like,
it's a very poor person's version of the real world. That's really all it is.
How did they talk her into being in this? There's no prize money. Why is she doing this?
Because you probably got paid $100K. I'm sure
you're getting a decent ad fee.
Oh yeah, she probably got paid $100K to just show up. I mean, let's be real.
This is like a failure of MTV marketing that I did not know about this, because if I knew that Laurel was on this show, I probably would have watched like an episode. At least one.
Commercials
you know what I mean?
it constantly.
But if you weren't watching
MTV,
I don't watch MTV except for the challenge.
Yeah, throw me a YouTube ad or something. You know what I mean? Like,
but they don't have that kind. I don't think they have that budget for the advertisement.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they're owned by Viacom at this point. I mean, that's the thing. The reason that, I mean, for a look behind the curtain here, the reason season 35 isn't even advertised yet, we haven't even seen a trailer, is because CBS doesn't want the challenge competing with Survivor. And even though the challenge audience is a fraction of Survivor, they're paranoid about crossover or whatever reason.
I've talked about it with a few people. That's 100% what I think it is. Because the new season's wrapped filming. It's been wrapped for a while.
It finished in like Thanksgiving. It was like the week after Thanksgiving the last season wrapped, and we don't even have a trailer at this point.
Well, knowing them, they're going to drop a trailer, and the season's going to start like 4 days after it.
I think that we talked about this before we started recording. I don't think season 35's trailer drops until mid-March at best.
I think it's going to start early April.
Yeah, I don't think they can put it off
schedule.
I don't think they can put it off that long. You know what I mean? Like they need to keep printing these out.
I don't know if they need to keep printing them out.
I don't think they need, because I think what they're thinking is because Bear spoiled approximately when they're leaving, which is 9 weeks from now, which we're recording this on February 23rd. So they're leaving early April
for the next one
to film the next season, which tells me the next season will air probably September.
So is that cast out yet?
No. We have no idea. That cast is not even locked yet. I mean, that cast is...
There's a rumor, though, right?
There's availability calls, and who of those availability calls actually makes the show is questionable.
So is this on Venmo right now?
For season 36, like availability?
No, there's not really a speculation thread. But the only reason we know they're leaving
in 9 weeks.
Bear said on his Instagram they're leaving in 10 weeks, and that was a week ago.
I'm surprised
we won't get any of that stuff for a while.
Yeah, like we won't see that season if the new season of the challenge does not start until early April, the season won't even end until June. So it'll be probably September before we see the season they start filming in April airs.
I bet you they air these next. I bet you they air these next two like close to back to back.
I think they want to adjust to a different schedule, so they're okay with a little bit of a layoff now.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't just air Survivor earlier then.
I'm not, because CBS didn't want to compete with NFL stuff.
This is like the earliest that a spring season of Survivor has ever aired. So this is actually really early for Survivor.
That's not true. No.
Yes, it is.
They had the Survivor season 2 Australia. The season premiere aired immediately following the Super Bowl.
Okay, since they've gotten into like the modern schedule, so like,
all right, okay. For the modern schedule, this is the earliest a Survivor spring season has aired. Yes.
I don't know if they had their full schedule planned out in season 2 when they weren't sure how much likely there was going to be a season 3. So.
Yeah, it used to be like really early on. Trace is right. There were like multiple seasons where that was a thing. It would air right after the Super Bowl.
Because they would reason that, hey, everyone watching the Super Bowl will stick around. Because here's the thing. I'm going to actually look this up right now. There is the season premiere of Survivor 2 got like a ridiculous number.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the most watched episode in reality TV history, right?
No, I think it was end of season 1.
Yeah, the end of season 1 was like 50 or 60 million.
Check what it is. I know that's the most watched season, this Australian Outback.
I'm looking at the Australian Outback now. I can't. Man, it doesn't say. Hold on. Let me see if I can get like a.
Yeah, they're gonna make me.
Wait, here it is. I found the rating number. Okay, the season premiere of Survivor did 45 million viewers in just the U.S. of season 2.
So I'm not getting most watched episode of reality TV. They're not making this easy. And I'm on some site that wants me to turn off my ad blocker, and this isn't going well. I don't know. We'll have to do this for next time.
Okay, I've got it. Okay, the most watched episode ever is the finale of Survivor 1, which peaked at 51 million people.
Whew.
So
Wow.
51 million people watched the first Survivor finale, and the season premiere of season 2 following the Super Bowl was 45 million, which is still an astronomically high number. If Survivor still had 45 million viewers, they could do a $5 million prize at this point.
Dude, like no shows get that many viewers anymore. Like
No.
none.
Oh,
Live sports is the only thing that gets that kind of viewers anymore. And even that is I think the national college football game got like 30 million at its peak this year.
What did the Super Bowl get this year?
That's a great question.
All right, let's cut this thing. I think we've.
All right,
dragged
yeah,
our
we've
listeners
jumped the shark.
up.
All right, Devin, go ahead and take us home, and we'll talk offline about the Super Bowl 2020 rating.
With that, thank you for listening. Next episode, I'm assuming we'll probably do the next 6 episodes of the Duel. If you'd like to send us any comments or questions about the challenge, you can reach us at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com, and talk to you again soon.